Number 10. A phantom hand. Imagine you're on the most important walk of your life. You're the first American to ever float in the void of space, a celestial atom touching the face of God, or at least the face of a terrifyingly empty vacuum. You're feeling great. You're feeling historic. And then, whoops, you drop your glove. This isn't like losing a mitten on the ski slopes. This is losing a piece of your humanity in the cosmos. This exact thing happened to astronaut Ed White during the Gemini 4 mission in 1965. One of his spare thermal gloves slipped away and began its own very lonely mission. For about a month, this single empty glove became an independent satellite, orbiting the Earth at thousands of miles per hour. It had its own catalog number and everything. 01393. Ground control tracked it. Amateur astronomers spotted it through telescopes, a tiny white speck tumbling through the darkness. There's something profoundly unsettling about this. It's not scary, not in a jump scare way. It's a deep existential kind of creepy. A perfectly formed human-shaped object designed to hold a living hand, just out there, floating, alone. It's like a ghost waving a long, slow goodbye from an impossible distance. It's a piece of us, detached and isolated, a silent monument to our own fragility. Before it eventually fell out of orbit and incinerated in the atmosphere, that glove was the loneliest piece of clothing in the universe. Basically, we littered in the most poetic, haunting way imaginable. Number 9. The Orbital Toothbrush. If a lost glove is poetic, a lost toothbrush is just plain absurd. It's the universe's way of reminding us that for all our grand ambitions of colonizing Mars and unlocking the secrets of the cosmos, we're still the same species that can't keep track of its dental hygiene products. During a spacewalk at the International Space Station in 2006, astronaut Piers Sellers was testing some new repair techniques on the shuttle's heat shield. He was using a variety of tools, including a small spatula. At some point in the 7-hour EVA, he also somehow lost his toothbrush. Yes, a toothbrush. It just floated away. Now, Sellers himself said it wasn't his toothbrush, but a tool that looked like a toothbrush. Let's be honest, that's exactly what someone who just lost their toothbrush in space would say. But let's take him at his word. He lost a spatula that now orbits the Earth as a piece of high-velocity space junk. Think about that. An object designed for flipping pancakes, or more likely scraping gunk off a science experiment, is now a rogue satellite. Every 90 minutes, it completes a full lap around our planet. It's a testament to human error, a tiny plastic middle finger to the pristine void. While we're down here worrying about bills and what to watch on Netflix, a toothbrush, or a spatula, whatever, is living a more exciting life than most of us, silently screaming past continents at 17,500 miles per hour. It's the cosmic equivalent of finding a single shoe on the side of the highway, but infinitely weirder. Number 8. The Alien Impostor. There's a ghost story that haunts the orbit of our planet. It's called the Black Knight satellite. According to the legend, there's an object up there that isn't ours. It's dark. It's ancient, maybe 13,000 years old, and it's been broadcasting strange signals at Earth for decades. It's the ultimate creepy unknown, a silent alien sentinel watching us from the darkness. It's also a blanket. Sorry to burst the conspiracy bubble, but the Black Knight is almost certainly a thermal blanket lost by astronauts Jerry Ross and James Newman during an EVA mission in 1998. The famous photos that circulate online, showing a strange angular object, perfectly match the shape of a specific type of insulating blanket used by NASA. It's designed to protect equipment from the extreme temperatures of space. And now, it's just another piece of our celestial garbage heap. But here's the creepy part. The idea refuses to die. People want to believe in the mysterious alien observer so badly that they ignore the perfectly logical, if slightly embarrassing, explanation. The myth is more powerful than the reality. So even though it's just a piece of high-tech foil, it functions as a creepy alien satellite in our collective imagination. We accidentally sent a blanket into space, and in our desperation for cosmic mystery, we promoted it to ancient alien overlord. Chatrais. It's less about what's actually up there, and more about the spooky stories we tell ourselves about the dark. Number 7. Star Trek's Final Frontier. Okay, so we've covered lost items and misidentified junk. Let's get into the human stuff. Literally. Gene Roddenberry, the visionary creator of Star Trek, famously wanted his final resting place to be among the stars, and he got his wish. Sort of. But the first time it happened, it was a little clandestine. In 1992, A portion of Roddenberry's cremated remains was secretly tucked into a lipstick container and smuggled aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia by astronaut James Weatherby. Think about that for a second. An astronaut, a professional of the highest order, carried the ashes of a sci-fi icon into orbit like it was a piece of contraband. It's both a beautiful tribute and deeply, deeply strange. For 160 orbits, a piece of the man who imagined our future in space was actually living it, albeit in powdered form, hidden in a cosmetic case. Since then, a company called Celestis has made this a legitimate business, launching portions of ashes from people like Roddenberry and actor James Doohan, who played Scotty, into space. But it's that first secret trip that sticks with you. It implies that our desire to touch the cosmos is so profound, we're willing to break the rules to send pieces of ourselves there. The ether is now, in a very real sense, a graveyard. It contains the literal dust of the people who dreamed of it, turning the final frontier into a final resting place. It's a beautiful, morbid, and quintessentially human thing to do. Number 6. The blob that ate a space station. Imagine you're an astronaut on the Mir space station. Life is a series of controlled experiments, freeze-dried food, and trying not to float into the toilet. Then, you notice something growing. Behind a control panel, a strange, gelatinous blob of greenish-brown fungus is quietly taking over. It's not just sitting there, it's eating the station. It's consuming rubber seals, munching on cable insulation, and has even been found etching into the quartz glass of the portholes. This isn't science fiction. This was a real problem on Mir. Over its 15-year lifespan, the station became a petri dish for bizarre space-mutated microorganisms. Cut off from Earth's ecosystem, fungi and bacteria evolved in a high-radiation microgravity environment. They formed massive, free-floating globules of water, slime, and filth behind panels where condensation collected. At one point, one of these fungal blobs was described as being the size of a basketball. This is a different kind of creepy. This is biological horror. We went to space to escape the muck of Earth, and we ended up creating a new, more aggressive kind of muck that threatened to eat our spaceship from the inside out. Cosmonauts had to fight a constant battle against this alien-like infestation. It's a chilling reminder that wherever we go, we bring our own baggage with us. And sometimes that baggage evolves into a sentient, ship-eating slime monster. Number 5. A ghost in the static. Some stories are creepy because they're true. Others are creepy because, even if they aren't, they feel like they should be. The story of Vladimir Komarov is one of the latter. In 1967, the Soviet cosmonaut was sent into orbit in the Soyuz 1 capsule, a spacecraft that he and other engineers knew was riddled with hundreds of structural flaws. He was essentially sent on a suicide mission. The mission was a catastrophe from the start. A solar panel failed, the navigation system broke, and the capsule began to tumble uncontrollably. The legend, which persists to this day, is that U.S. listening posts in Turkey intercepted Komarov's final transmissions. And they weren't heroic last words. They were reported to be screams of rage, furious, desperate curses directed at the flight controllers and officials who had sent him up there to die. He was supposedly heard crying, screaming, and saying he knew he was going to be killed. While historians have largely debunked the intercepted screams part of the story, the core of it is true. Komarov died when his parachute failed, and his capsule slammed into the Earth at hundreds of miles per hour. The creepy part we sent into space wasn't an object. It was a human being's final terrifying moments. Whether his rage was broadcast across the airwaves or just contained within the tumbling metal coffin doesn't really matter. We launched a man into the void, knowing he probably wouldn't come back. And for a few hours, the loneliest, most terrified person in existence was circling above all of us. That's a ghost story that doesn't need any embellishment. Number 4. The floating spider graveyard. Humans aren't the only living things we've sent into space to have a bad time. In 1973, as part of an experiment on Skylab, NASA sent up 2 common cross spiders, named Arabella and Anita. The goal was to see if they could spin a web in zero gravity. It was a classic, let's poke a thing with a stick and see what happens kind of science experiment. At first, the spiders were totally confused. Their first webs were chaotic, useless tangles of silk. They were like tiny, 8-legged drunks trying to knit a sweater. But after a few days, they adapted. Their brains recalibrated, and they started spinning webs that were almost as perfect as the ones on Earth. It was a huge success. Science. Then they died. The cause of death is a bit of a mystery. Maybe dehydration. Maybe just the stress of being a spider in a metal can in the middle of nowhere. But here's the creepy bit. After the Skylab 3 crew returned to Earth, Arabella and Anita's bodies were left behind. They, along with their beautiful, useless space webs, remained in the Skylab space station. For 6 years, the corpses of 2 spiders orbited the Earth, a tiny, silent monument to animal sacrifice in the name of curiosity. Skylab eventually deorbited in 1979, burning up as it re-entered the atmosphere over Australia. So, for a brief moment, we turned 2 spiders into cremated extraterrestrial dust. We didn't just send spiders to space. We created the universe's most elaborate and expensive bug zapper. Number 3. The human dust cloud. You shed. You're doing it right now. Your body is constantly sloughing off millions of dead skin cells, creating a little personal cloud of biological dust around you. On Earth, thanks to gravity and air currents, this stuff mostly just settles on your bookshelf or gets vacuumed up. But on the International Space Station, it's a whole different story. In microgravity, your dead skin doesn't fall. It floats. Every astronaut on the ISS is living inside a microscopic, invisible blizzard of their own desiccated flesh. And not just their own, but the flesh of every person who has ever been on that station. The station's advanced filtration systems are constantly working to suck this human dust out of the air, but they can't get all of it. It gets into every nook and cranny, coating surfaces, clogging equipment. This is existentially gross. We built a pristine billion-dollar laboratory in the sky, and we immediately filled it with our own personal ghost clouds. It's a fine powder made of you, your crewmates, and people you've never even met, all swirling together in the recycled air. It's the ultimate evidence of our presence, our biological signature left behind in the void. Forget flags and plaques. Our real legacy in near-Earth orbit is a perpetually floating fog of our own dead skin. It's like we're haunting our own house before we've even left. Number 2. An army of zombies on the moon. In 2019, an Israeli spacecraft named Bereshit attempted to land on the moon. It did not go well. Due to a last-minute engine failure, the lander, instead of making a soft touchdown, essentially became a metal pancake on the lunar surface. A tragedy for the mission, but a potential beginning for a very, very weird horror movie. Because on that lander was a lunar library, a digital archive of human knowledge, and also thousands of tardigrades. Tardigrades, also known as water bears, are microscopic 8-legged creatures that are basically impossible to kill. You can boil them, freeze them, crush them, expose them to insane levels of radiation, and even subject them to the cold, airless vacuum of space. And they'll be fine. They just curl up into a dehydrated little ball called a ton and wait for conditions to improve. They are nature's tiny, pudgy terminators. So, when the Bereshit lander smashed into the moon, it likely scattered thousands of these dehydrated, effectively immortal creatures all over the impact site. They aren't dead. They're just sleeping. They're dormant, waiting. There's now a colony of near-indestructible Earth life forms sitting on the moon, potentially for millions of years, until some future event, maybe a stray comet fragment carrying ice, provides the water they need to reanimate. We didn't just crash a lander on the moon. We accidentally seeded it with an army of microscopic zombies, creating the universe's slowest and most patient alien invasion. Number 1. The Disembodied Mind. This is, without a doubt, the single creepiest thing we have ever flung into the cosmos. It's not an object, not a body, not a fungus. It's a thought. In 1977, NASA launched the Voyager 1 and 2 space probes, each carrying a golden record, a time capsule of sights and sounds from Earth, intended for any intelligent life that might one day find it. The records contain music, greetings in 55 languages and 115 images, but they also contain something else. The project's creative director, Anne Druyan, was tasked with figuring out how to convey the complexity of human thought. Her solution was both brilliant and profoundly eerie. She had her own brainwaves recorded by an EEG machine for an hour. As the machine traced the electrical signals of her consciousness, she went on a mental journey. She thought about the history of Earth, the rise of civilization, the challenges of our time, and the feeling of being in love. She had just fallen for Carl Sagan, the project's leader. That 1-hour recording of her brain activity was compressed into a sound file and etched onto the record. It sounds like a burst of pulsar noise, a discordant crackle of static. But it's not. It's the electrical echo of a human mind. It is a ghost in the machine. Right now, billions of miles away, drifting through the interstellar void, is a literal recording of a person's thoughts and feelings. It's a pure, disembodied consciousness, a piece of a soul transcribed onto gold-plated copper. It's the ultimate message in a bottle. But the message is the raw, unfiltered pattern of a human brain in the act of thinking and feeling. It is the loneliest, most beautiful, and most terrifyingly intimate piece of us we have ever sent into the dark. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.